Hi, I'm Mason, and this is Cara,
Hello.
and we're the hosts of Expert Secrets Revealed: Conversations in Health and Fitness, and it's also known as the ESR Show, sponsored by Syntrax Nutrition. Our guest today is super exciting. I'm really glad to have her on. Our show is built around exceptional people and ideas that educate, entertain, and inspire. And today's guest is Annie Meehan, and she has owned and operated multiple fitness centers and is a author of over 5 books, including, I guess, two of them, Be the Exception and Pineapple Principle, the ones that caught my attention. And she's also a member of the National Speakers Association and is highly sought after as a speaker. And we're really excited to have her on today. So, Annie, thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, Annie. Thanks for joining us.
Hello. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here. Always love to help people and share conversation.
Absolutely. So let's start with this. Now, Annie, I've seen a lot of your work. You're excellent on the stage, and you improve a lot of people's lives. Actually, that's one of your main goals. So you have come up with some keys to wellness, and one of those keys that you can actually apply at home or at work. And one of those keys is commitment. Tell us what role that plays in wellness.
Yeah. Commitment's a huge role, right? Like it's easy to get excited about things. And after a wild weekend to say, I am committed, this is the week. But I really think that commitment, and then I add a second C. I like to teach in acronyms, but commitment plus consistency over time changes things. And so there can be confusion about how many days it takes to change a habit or to be successful. And so I love to show people that commitment is about not just doing it when it's easy, not just doing it when you start out, but staying consistently committed over time, doing something for a month, whether that has 28 days or 31 days. They can visually see when a month starts and ends. And so commitment is where we see the change. So I always say commitment plus consistency over time changes things. So when we want to get healthy, we can't just do it for a day or two and hope for results, but it's a long-term commitment.
Now, with commitment, there are other keys as well. Do you think commitment is the number one thing that could really change your life if you stay consistent with certain things, or is there something else that you feel is a little bit more important or could really change your life?
Yeah, I think commitment is the start. So a lot of people, I'll say, what is the C word that we need? People say copy and confidence. I say confidence comes when we commit. But I think we have to be committed, and then we can make the changes with our exercise, with our nutrition, with our attitude, with the people we surround ourselves with. So I do believe commitment is the start. And I believe that that consistent commitment to what the outcome that you want is where people see change and where people stay hopeful. Like, I'm committed to this. I'm on good days and the bad days. I'm committed to this through the challenges of life. And when it's somebody's birthday and they bring in donuts, I don't always have to eat a donut. I can occasionally, but I don't always have to. So I think.
Did you hear that, Mason?
Yes,
you
I
don't
did.
always have to eat a donut.
That's one of my favorites.
He needs you.
I love the donuts.
I love the donuts too, Mason. That's why I talk about. I love them.
So accountability, I mean, that comes into accountability as well, right? So we all have to be accountable for ourselves and what we do. There are a lot of steps to that. How do you really teach that? Because, every single day I'm committed. I try to be committed. You're committed. You're fully committed, Mason.
This is true.
He does
Except for donuts.
Yeah, except for donuts. But he does triathlons, things like that. And for me, it'll go back and forth on something. How do you do that? What do you put in place that you can actually, stay committed, be accountable for things? What are some tips with that?
Yeah, I love that question. So a couple of things. One, I love to write it down. So I'm pretty intentional. In fact, I had a meeting this morning that I skipped. I skipped 2 meetings this morning because I wrote to them and just said, you know what, I've kind of fallen off track with my self-care. And that's one of my priorities this morning. I'm committed to having some quiet time, to having some exercise time. And those meetings, as though they were good, I have to stay consistent with what I'm going to do to take care of myself. So when you talk about accountability, what I think about that and what I like to encourage people is you need someone that believes in you on your good and bad days. We've all had successes in our lives and we've all had struggles, or some might identify even with failures. So what I say is surround yourself with, be accountable to yourself, but have other people that believe in you. As a woman, and I don't mean to be sexist, but I find that women gather more for, let's meet for breakfast, lunch, dinner, happy hour, cocktails, whatever it is. And I love to surround myself with girlfriends that are great accountability partners that say, let's meet and go rollerblade. Let's take a dance class. Let's meet at the lake and go for a walk. So to still be social and connected, but to have great accountability partners that will meet me for things other than just food and beverage. And not that men don't do that sometimes, but they tend to be more often around an exercise, whether it's watching football or playing a game or whatever. So I like to say, have a good accountability partner that believes in you on your good and your bad days, rather than saying you've tried before, it won't work, or that never works for you. It's having someone that says, hey, I'm here with you and I'm going to be there, whether you're being successful or struggling. I'm going to support you and encourage you on your journey.
And that's a really good point. Yes, because you're right that, I do that all the time. And I say, hey, let's meet for a drink or let's do this. And it's really changing gears slightly that will improve your life like that. And it's true. I didn't ever think about that with men, how they are more active, want to do activities together and watching football. And
I can even experiment, like even like for people that I've, triathlon training. I mean, obviously I do long course triathlons and stuff, but to get in a long run or a long bike ride, a lot of times you got to get up really early. Long run during the summer, it gets really nasty, hot and humid, and excuses could come out about, oh, it's going to be too hot, it's going to be too humid. But if you get up at 5 a.m., well, when the alarm goes off at 4:30, you don't feel like getting up. But if you've got other people that are going to be there that are committed to being there and they're accountable. Like, I don't know how it is with your girlfriend. No, that's true. But I know my buddies would talk endless trash if I slept in and those guys showed up, and the pain of hearing that endless trash talk because I couldn't get out of bed is not worth it. I will get up and I will go. And once I'm up and moving, that's fine. But like, I really appreciate what you said about surrounding yourself with the right people.
Yes, that's huge.
My buddies will talk trash if I don't show. So, and I will talk trash if my buddies don't show, make no mistake.
That's right.
That's a reciprocal agreement. But I agree with your comments on the accountability.
Well, and then you pointed out nutrition in other ways. And when you were talking about, hey, do you want to go meet for drinks or do you want to meet for food? Tell us about that aspect of it, because that's a big one, I think. Yeah,
I love that. And I like what you said, Mason, because I used to walk with these two women. They both moved away and we would get up at 4:30 or 5 in the morning and walk. And me and my next door neighbor would be like, it's 20 below. This is nuts. And the daughter of my neighbor would say, okay, fine, we can go for coffee. And we were like, yes, let's go for, and she's like, oh, no, we have to walk to the coffee. But having that, and she would just, we're like, we're cold, we're older than you, but just having those encouraging partners to exercise with is great.
We're older than you.
Yeah. Nutrition. Yeah, nutrition is so important. Nutrition is important. A lot of people think about just the number on the scale. And for me, I'm always like, wellness is your whole body. And so what we feed ourselves with can not only help our figure and our body and our weight, but it helps our brain. When we put good nutrition in and we have great foods that are antioxidants and that have antioxidants in them, it's going to give us great energy. So I've had a lot of jobs since I was 7. But one of my favorite jobs was being a lunch lady because I love kids and I love food. And through that, I just loved teaching people. It made me recognize whether you're working in a school or in your home as a mom or as a grandmother or a parent, I love adding color to food. So what colors, like Monday is purple day and Tuesday is red day and Wednesday is green day. So thinking about eating a rainbow, but also trying foods in different ways. Sometimes people will say, I don't like that food. So one way we can do nutrition with our core friend group or peers that want to be healthy with us is take a cooking class together or invite people over. We've done nights with a lot of different people and everybody brings an ingredient of their choice and we just start to say, how can we use this in a dish? And we do an appetizer and an entree and a side and a dessert, and we create fun things. So I think cooking can be super fun. I think people think of creativity as just coloring and painting. I think of creativity as trying something new. So trying a new recipe with a new fruit or vegetable, Googling a recipe, and whether you like it or not, maybe you don't try it again, but maybe you'll discover something you love by trying new fruits and vegetables, adding a lot of color to your salad. I didn't used to like salads. And then I'm like, hey, you can put fruits in them. You can put vegetables, you can put nuts, protein. There's a lot of ways to be creative and to still, I love food. So enjoying it, making sure it still has great flavor. It's enjoyable, but it's also fun to create with other people. And it's good and nutritious for your brain and your body.
And I will tell you, as a guy, I don't, everyone around here knows I don't really cook. I eat out a lot, but when it comes to but what you talk about, it hits home with me as far as different things. And from a practical, not, hey, I'm going to spend time cooking and cleaning and doing all things to go along with it. Mm-hmm. What I will do is like, I've never, not one time ever got to say, man, I can't wait to eat some spinach. Not happening. But what I will do is, like you said, find different ways to prepare, but I'll throw it in a smoothie. I'm not a big fan of cantaloupe or tomatoes either.
Okay.
I'm not going to go say, gee, I can't wait to have a tomato, but you know what? I'll throw one in a blender, or I'll throw some, some foods, cantaloupe. I can't stand cantaloupe, but if I want something like that, I'll throw it in there, so I can still get the nutritional value of it, but I can mask it with a bunch of other stuff I do like, and I still get through. So I think there's a lot of merit to what she's saying.
Absolutely. And you know what? That's a good way to incorporate that into work too. When you have potlucks and things like that, that people, maybe you switch gears that way and you say, hey, here's what we're going to do. Here's some healthy dishes, you can make, or make sure it doesn't have this in it, or it does have this and this. I never thought about that. And that is really a great idea.
And it kind of is a win in multiple ways, because you can get good nutrition in, but you can also save money by cooking together instead of going out to eat. And then just so you know, Mason, so I've been trying to grow vegetables or anything really for about 25 years. This is my first year I have grown cherry tomatoes, but my husband and my son do not like them. So I was thinking about it the other day, and really what I do is, my sneaky trick is, I add tomatoes to almost everything I cook. So if I'm sauteing some meat, I just put tomatoes in there, and they don't even see them because they cook down. And tomatoes and carrots, when you cook them, actually releases more nutrition than just eating them raw, which is interesting because most people think, oh, raw. So tomatoes and carrots, make them small, sneak them into your meals. No one will know. So that's my trick.
No, I did never know that.
I didn't either.
No. So okay. Go ahead. Sorry.
Hopefully my son and husband won't be listening to this, and they won't realize that I'm sneaking those tomatoes.
You just hold off on yourself. Yeah. Yes. We won't send this to him. So tell us about, sleep is a big deal too. So sleep, stress, all that comes into play. Let's touch on that a little bit, about how important that is.
Okay. So I kind of use the word CANES as my acronym. And what I talk about is that we all need a walking stick. And that S stands for sleep. And it's not just get sleep, it's get into a routine for your sleep. So I always think of the child that you love the most, whether that's your own or someone you know, and how would you put them to bed in the most perfect way? Maybe you'd read them a story, you'd rub their back, you'd say sweet dreams, you'd play soft music. You'd do everything you could to set that child up for feeling safe, secure, so they go to bed easily and they wake up rested and refreshed. What I think about is, as adults, we lose sight of that. And so what I like to remind people is, get in a routine. Set 3 to 5 things that you do before bed every night. Unplug from your social media. Write in a gratitude journal. Read something positive. Don't watch the news. So I try to think about, how can you set yourself up to have successful sleep? I tend to go to bed early because I love to wake up early. I love the sunrise. So I do that, but trying to get in that routine. Sometimes people say, well, I wash my face and brush my teeth. I'm like, that's good. What if you take it one step further and just put a warm cloth on your face and just sit with it for a moment, to let your body just slow down before we lay down? So we're prepared to have good sleep, fall asleep easily, relax our body, listen to meditation. I'm a big believer in listening to meditation before bed or as you go to sleep. Just getting into those routines. Darren Hardy's one of the guys that I listen to, and he says he does so many squats that before he goes to bed, that even if he's not tired, his body's so physically exhausted he can't move. So do whatever works for you, but think of 3 to 5 things that you can do to prepare yourself to go to sleep and stay asleep. And if you don't fall asleep easily, stay up a little later. Now, in my mind, I think wake up earlier because it will make you tired, but do what works for you. We all have different bodies and rhythms. And so I wake up early naturally. I love morning. But do what works for you, but try to be consistent with it. So I try to go to bed by 9:30 and wake up by 5:30 every day. And that's a good routine for me, but it's not everyone's routine. So figuring it out, writing down what you're grateful for every night, then writing down what you gave away today, whether it was a smile or an encouraging word or a cup of coffee. So that's how I like to end my day, and then start it with the positive stuff.
What do you think is the ideal amount of sleep? I know everyone's different, but any of the studies you've read, what's your take on the ideal amount of sleep?
Yeah, I think 7 hours, but I think that some people do need less and some people do need more, but at least 7 hours for most people. And when people are like, I'm up till 2 a.m, Annie, and I'm dragging out of bed in the morning, I'm like, we got to make some adjustments here, because again, for me, it's all about the whole body and health. And when we sleep, we're going to have a stronger, healthier body, to have a strong immune system and to keep going, doing the good work that we do, but also just staying physically healthy as well.
That's correct. And with stressing, everybody stresses. I stress all the time. Everybody has their own stressors, even the smallest thing to the biggest thing. How do you deal with stress? We talked about
Yeah,
sleep, but now with stress, that's a whole other world,
it
you
is. And
know?
I love that you acknowledge that you have stress. So that's the first thing I say to people is everyone has stress. Whether you're like, I'm not stressed. No, we all have stress. We have relationship stress, financial stress, physical stress, whatever it is. Everyone has stress. So what I say is I can't take away your stress. So what I invite you and encourage you to do is acknowledge and release. So I was thinking about, what am I stressed about? What's keeping me up at night? What am I worried about? Is it my kids? Is it my job? Is it my finances? So first acknowledge. And then the way that we release is again, this is individualized, but people have to choose, but a lot of people journal. Can you write about your stress? Release there. A lot of people talk it out. You know what? I got to talk to someone. I am frustrated. I'm stressed. Talk it out. I like to say walk it out. I'm a big power walker. I'm not a jogger.
Yes.
But I love to power walk. So just power walking it out. I love kickboxing classes, going there and just releasing that stress, spinning it out on a bike, physically releasing it, rollerblading. Sometimes I listen to really loud music when I'm stressed out and just sing, and it just releases my body. It doesn't take away the stress, but it relieves the strain on my body from the stress.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think acknowledge and release is what we have to do about stress. And I think a lot of people feel ashamed, like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm stressed out. Don't apologize for it. Just acknowledge it. Like, I am stressed. And then hopefully you have a supportive community around you that you can talk it out or work it out yourself, however you do that.
Yeah.
Do you have any thoughts or ideas on how to release the thought patterns and stuff that create the stress?
Yes. And so I did own 2 gyms for 12 years. And I tell people I never helped anybody lose weight, but I never helped anybody lose weight, but I helped a lot of people change their mindset, their
Yes.
self-talk, and their habits. And a side effect was weight loss. And so when you think about, where does that come from? Where is that stress coming from? How can I be healthier? Now I feel like I just lost your question. I'm sorry.
We were talking about changing old thinking patterns that creates the stress.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So when people start talking to themselves in a more positive way. So a big part of my speaking work is rewriting your story. What are you saying to yourself? So I've had clients say, I'm fatty Patty, or my whole family's unhealthy, or that's just the way we are. So I help them let's not talk that way anymore. Let's not think that way.
Yes.
So how can we create new stories? You know what? For 40 years, I've been unhealthy, but today's a new day, and I'm going to take one step in the right direction, whether that's circling my kitchen, or every other Diet Coke, I'm going to drink a glass of water, or I'm going to have, every time I hear myself say something negative, I'm going to stop and say, you know what? I am healthy. I am beautiful. I am capable, and I'm going to do things to create that. So yes, a lot about rewriting our messaging, what we say out loud and what we say in the back of our heads about ourselves can start to change how we show up and how we care for ourselves. So.
Absolutely. That's the reinforcement. If we say something negative, and I used to do that all the time. I think a lot of people do that. They don't even realize they're doing it. So if we can acknowledge that we say something negative about ourselves, because I just used to say it even in passing something, and somebody pointed it out to me one day. And I thought, wow, okay. And then that's when I started changing it. And I stopped and I started thinking, okay, you know what? I'm not going to say that anymore. Let's see if I can find something positive to say. And it really does help. It does that. It makes you mentally stronger.
That's right.
Yeah, it gives you a lot of mental strength. Really
and
does.
people are listening to you. People are watching you. I read about a mom with 3 kids, and she'd always tell them, you're so smart. You're so capable. You can be anything, do anything. And all 3 kids grew up with low self-esteem. And I asked people, why do you think that happened? And people have different ideas. Ultimately, what happened with this mom, she was self-critical. She'd look in the mirror. Oh, I look fat. She'd see herself in a picture. I hate my chins. I hate my face. And the kids watched more what she said about herself than what she said about them. So I think it's so important for ourselves to have positive self-talk, but also for those around us listening and watching how we show up in the world. So
yes, that's brilliant.
What role do you think self-confidence and esteem plays in health and wellness and fitness?
I mean, I think it's huge. And I think also when we take care of ourselves, we are more confident, right? When we value ourselves. And even though I want to eat donuts every day, I love donuts, but I decide to drink water or go for a walk. I'm like, hey, I did that for me. I care about myself. I care about my clients, and it keeps going on. So I think confidence shows up when we value ourselves enough to take care of ourselves, then how we walk and how we talk about ourselves out loud in the back of our head, and how we walk onto a stage, how we walk into a room changes because we first cared for ourselves. So I think it's huge. And I think confidence comes through taking care of ourselves. When people say, can I be confident? Is that what I need? And I say, confidence comes when we choose to sleep more, to have good accountability partners, to have good nutrition. We become more confident in ourselves and how we show up.
That's right.
One of the things that interested me about our chance to visit with you today was the comments that you've had and made in the past about authenticity and comparing yourself to others. Could you share some of that with our audience? Because I think that's very meaningful.
It's huge. Yeah. I think comparison, I know comparison is the thief of all joy, or the thief of joy. What I mean by that is if you go on social media and you look at yourself and you think, oh my gosh, they've got prettier hair, they're smarter, they're more successful, they have a more romantic relationship, they make more money, all of a sudden we're feeling good and it shrinks for us, right? And so for me, people think often I do a lot of videos that I'm like, I joke about being 6 feet tall. Today, I know that I'm fun size, and on a good day, I'm 5'2". But sometimes I compare myself to other people and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so short. Oh my gosh, my legs aren't lean, this and that, or I'm not as far along in my career as I thought I would be. But what happens is then I just get miserable. Then I just get sad, right? And so I watch audience and people say, Annie, I'm never going to be as good as you, or I haven't. Stop. Please don't compare yourself to me. Everybody matters and everybody's story matters. And when we step into that, like, okay, I'm going to be Annie Meehan. I'm kind of messy. I'm kind of goofy. I'm kind of silly. I don't have all the accolades behind my name on LinkedIn, but am I worth it? Yes. And when I show other people and they're like, oh my gosh, I'm always focused on what I'm lacking instead of what I have. And that was a big, growing up, I had a really challenging childhood and I wanted to be like anyone else and ultimately anyone else other than myself. And when I started to step back and look out, I recognized everybody has beauty in their life. Everybody has struggles and challenges in their life. And that if I just like being me, it actually invites the people around me to like being themselves. So I really invite and encourage people to embrace their imperfect and to just be genuinely who they are with all their good parts and their struggles, and they accept themselves. And then I think it makes it easier for other people to accept you, because comparison, it steals happiness. And it always looks like, I think social media makes it worse because it looks like, oh my gosh, their life's perfect. Their life's perfect. But nobody's life is perfect, right? So
yeah.
Well, and it's one of the things that I'm able to relate to with that message is I know they're extreme endurance athletes and I'm friends with a bunch of them. And we can talk about some of them that would make the mistake of comparing themselves to someone else. Well, this person did this workout and this person's putting in this many miles a week and this person's putting in this many hours a week on a bike. And well, if they can do it, I can do it. And then they end up getting injured and they don't get their goals. In fact, they get the opposite of the goals because they're not training, they're not racing, they're injured. And they wouldn't have been if they would have stayed true to themselves and what their abilities were and what their fitness level was. And if they would have just, I guess, operated from their knowledge of self and their particular goals and self-awareness instead of worrying about what other people can do or do, they wouldn't have been injured.
Yeah. I love being around people who are totally opposite of me, right? Because if everyone's like me, the world would be boring. See, you don't say anything negative. Don't say anything negative. But no, so really, I do. I love that because you learn so much. Everybody's so much more different than you are. And I love that. I love that variety, and you learn a lot.
You learn a lot, right?
Yeah.
You grow and you think about things differently. And when people are open to that, like there's so much joy in it. Like, oh, you see the world like that? Well, how come? Well, what's your story? Where rather than, oh, you need to see it exactly how I see it. So that's good.
I love that. Do you have any tips for us before we go today? Do you have any tips that you want to give us, or you just think that, put us on the right track today?
I got one question.
Okay.
If you had one piece of advice with your life experience, if there was one piece of advice that you could share with an audience that you think is the most valuable contribution you could make to that audience, what would that piece of advice be?
I feel like you kind of answered it already when you said, I love people that are different than me, because if I could teach people one thing, I would say, be kind to yourself. Be kind to yourself. You will be happier. You will show up happier and more positive. I think, and part of being kind to ourselves is taking care of ourselves, is making time for ourselves, is saying no to the things that don't serve us whether it's our negative self-talk or
Yes.
it's other people that are negative about us. Like I've learned boundaries a lot in my adult life. It's like, I don't have to have everyone in my life. And not that you want to be mean or hurt people, but if they want to pull you down, it is okay to let people go or to set limits on how much you see them. So being kind to yourself and surrounding yourself with people that are kind to you and that want what's best for you. And in turn, you want what's best for them. Yeah, I think that would be my one thing I would say. Be kind to yourself and be kind to others. And it makes a world of difference. Even if we disagree, we can still be kind to one another. That's important.
I'm glad I asked that question.
Yes.
Thank you for
Annie,
sharing
so
that.
much. How can people get a hold of you? If they have any questions for you or just want some advice?
Yeah, I love that. I'm pretty active on Facebook and LinkedIn. I'm on a few other social medias, but those are my main two, Facebook and LinkedIn. But my website is just my name, Annie Meehan. I have books, I have online courses, and I love to speak with people, to work with people, whether it's giving a presentation or sending them a book or doing some coaching and consulting with them as individuals or companies. So I'm Annie, and I love to encourage others.
Well, Annie, it's been a pleasure sharing time with you today. Thank you for visiting with us, and we hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. I appreciate being invited on your show.
It's a pleasure.
Absolutely. Have a great one. And to our viewers out there, thank you so much for joining in. You can see this podcast and many others at esrshow.com. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel. And we'd like to thank Centrax Nutrition, our sponsor. You know what? Their protein is excellent. I know one of their products is nectar, and they have over 20 different nectar flavors. It's amazing. Check out their website, Centrax Nutrition, at centrax.com. Thanks so much. You can follow them at official Centrax as well across social media sites. Thanks so much. And we'll see you very soon right here at ESR Show.
ESR Show.
Yeah. Have a good one.